Good morning. Happy Friday, 10 a.m. here Eastern Time. We're going to get right into it because, hey, nobody's going to tune into this live anyways. The whole purpose of this is just to be loaded up and it'll be on YouTube and everything else like that to watch later. But welcome to May the 10th. Today is National Clean Your Room Day. So, again, if you guys can't see this, hopefully you can. National Clean Your Room Day. Very important. But yesterday was National Lost Sock Memorial Day. I will tell you, between having a golden retriever and a toddler, I have like a lost sock once a week. So I don't know what it looks like for you guys, but for me, it's pretty brutal. I need to have a lot of socks to be able to replace everything that I'm losing. Now, this week, we are going to hit a number of topics. First, as the subject already suggested, we're going to talk about how $3 trillion could be injected into the U.S. economy without having to do anything whatsoever from like a tax standpoint, which could be really strong. Then we're going to talk about financial spaving and what that actually means. Some people probably already know what that means, but we can get into more details on that. Reddit. I don't know if you guys ever watched like the Stupid Money. That movie was great about the meme stocks. But we're going to talk about what the Reddit community thinks about from an interest rate perspective, because it's always nice to get another person's view on a situation that has been widely debated for the past couple of years now. And then we're going to talk about apartment fundamentals going on in April because we still do some form of real estate and the market fundamentals and what that looks like. Affordable housing, you guys know how much I love affordable housing. So I definitely want to make sure I touch on that because this is only going to continue to emerge. Now, the first thing we're going to do, quick look at the stock market. So as you can see here, there's a lot of green and there's only one thing that was really red, and that's the 30-year mortgage. So that hasn't come down quite yet, but it has been actually a nice little turn for the markets thus far. So year to date, we're 5 months in now, and the three major indices are somewhere between about 5% and 10%. Bitcoin still crushes it. Now we're going to get now into the LinkedIn weekly poll question, and this one just goes out to every single person out there of that likes going down rabbit holes from an investment standpoint. So for me, I've started looking into oil and gas more recently, just because if I'm being very honest with the investors out there, it's hard to turn a cash on cash return for real estate. Longer term, you still might be able to sell and have a good exit. But the cash on cash, the days of a 10% cash on cash return are gone. But there's other industries where there's still some strong fundamentals. Oil and gas is one of those. So I went down a massive rabbit hole, and I was definitely curious to see if other people had started looking into that as well. All right, so let's get now into the first story of R5, and that is the $3 trillion injection into the U.S. economy. And the Oracle of Wall Street has made a suggestion that this is actually very attainable just by making a slight adjustment in the niche of the mortgage market. What that means is Freddie Mac, a major player in the financial industry, recently requested regulatory approval to venture into the secondary mortgage market, specifically focused on home equity loans. This historically has never been done. But since traditional banks have reduced their involvement in this sector, post-financial crisis, the outstanding amount of home equity loans available has significantly dropped from $350 billion in, what was it? And now from over 700 billion in 2007, so half that. Well, at the same time, housing prices, we know since 2007, have gone up about 70%. So the amount they are producing or providing loans on is half the amount, while the house prices have increased by 70%. So it's even a significant drop. And if Freddie Mac gets approved, then this green lights another path for their regulatory brothers and sisters of Fannie Mae and Ginnie Mac. And that could allow for $3 trillion into the economy to provide as a stimulus. I would not be surprised if something like this does happen because we know the government, the Fed Reserve, everybody is trying to do everything they can to create a soft landing. And it becomes more and more uncertain as interest rates continue to stay higher for longer. All right, let's now move on to the financial spaving trap. And what does that actually mean? I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys have gone to Costco. For a lot of people, once they have a family, they start going to Costco. So you gotta, get it in bulk because your kids just eat endless amounts of stuff, and it's just like, where the hell did all this go? And so I've been guilty of this myself, of the buy one get one free, or I trade up to a larger bulk item. But spaving is when you're spending more to save more. It's a tempting trap to fall into. And the allure of that limited time, like think about Amazon Prime Day. Oh my gosh, I go nuts on that. I know a lot of people go nuts on that based on the stats. But it says limited time deals, the buy one get one freeze, adding an extra item to qualify for discounts or free shipping. I'm pretty sure we've all gone through that. However, this spending approach and this strategy can result in developing excessive shopping habits and accumulating high interest credit card debt. Because, yes, credit card debt is expensive. And if it's not managed carefully, you can get yourself into quite a hole financially. Now, I had a link, of course, in my weekly post that shows the 6 best ways to avoid falling into this trap. So if you want to read more onto how to actually avoid that, I'm not going to talk all about it right now. You can check out the post on Medium, our weekly newsletter, of course, that we always have. But yeah, you can check it out for yourself. Cool. Okay, let's now move into the next one. Reddit. What do they think? I personally like I've got my Reddit user ID. I won't say what it is because I just like to kind of see what others are saying. So I'm not active in the community, but I certainly like watching what the opinions of Reddit users are because they seem to be, at least in the groups that I'm following, very informed about what's going on in the market. And they don't have to be the big wigs of a financial company to provide their opinion. And keep in mind, an opinion is just an opinion, just like what I'm talking about here is my opinion. But I do like seeing what others think. And I mean, if Reddit is any indicator, or if that the movie I mentioned of Stupid Money was any indicator during the GameStop craze, they do have an opinion and it could matter. And so I hyperlinked a really good conversation that I saw about interest rates and what that audience seems to think about where they think the economy could go from an individual perspective. Again, it's an opinion, but it's always nice seeing a different person's perspective. All right, so let's move on to the fourth one. Apartment fundamentals going on in the marketplace. Well. As you can see from this graph here, there's I guess it's a positive indication. And what I mean by that is according to the latest RealPage data, which RealPage has collectively the best amount of data across the United States, you can see across any of the regions, Northeast, Midwest, South, and West, that all of them saw a boost in occupancy. That's really good. That's a strong indicator. Midwest, of course, is crushing it because you got great cities like Cincinnati leading the way, but you got a 2.7% growth there. Northeast is also solid because you got places like Boston. Man, the two cities I like to call home have such a strong growth. But despite this rise in occupancy, rent rates across the board seem to be pretty much kind of flat or kept at a modest pace. And why is that? Is because there's still excessive supply coming online to not really meet demand. And that's particularly high in the Sun Belt regions, which is why you see them having lower occupancy and lower rental growth rates. But anyhow, it's at least a positive indicator that we're getting to more of a stabilized area in the multifamily space. So that should give some people a glimmer of hope. Again, we haven't fully turned the corner, which is why I've started looking at things in oil and gas, where I can start seeing a cash-on-cash return. So I would say some of my posts moving here in the future are not just going to be focused on real estate. Well, actually, you can already tell. I talk about money. I don't really just talk about real estate. But I will still keep a pulse on this industry. I will still be investing in this space, but I will be broadening my portfolio of things that I look into. All right. Another thing that I really like when it comes to multifamily, and I'm kind of a profit for a purpose type person. So affordable housing. What is that? Why does it matter? Well, as you guys know, with interest rates climbing, it's more expensive to buy a house, which means you actually have more people needing to rent. And then with rent, especially during COVID, the rental rates just kind of skyrocketed because the government was basically paying those rents anyways. And so people were getting priced out. It just makes it very expensive to be a tenant. And so there's been increasing demand around the country to create affordable housing. I, for one, am personally working right now on a investment project that is going to be 100% affordable housing. I cannot disclose all the details yet, but I'm excited for this idea of kind of profit for a purpose in which I can provide a lot of Americans affordable housing, and in return, I get paid for that. And Dallas is a city that is now really starting to adopt it. They just released $82 million in bonds to fund a much more needed relief of affordable housing down there as that city is booming. So this is a really emerging trend. I suggest more people keep track of it because if you can get into an affordable housing project that is subsidized by various government bonds and programs, you could actually see a really strong return while at the same time helping a lot of people. All right, so now let's get into my 3 favorite social posts that I saw this week. This one, it goes out to all those people graduating, and hopefully, I'm sorry if your graduation ceremonies have been canceled. Quick thing on that, if you think about the graduation ceremonies being canceled, the people that are having it canceled were the same ones that went through COVID and didn't get to have their high school graduation. Imagine that. So you don't get to have your graduation for high school and then you don't get your graduation for college. Just seems crazy. But you know what's even crazier? The stat Mark Kuhn had, and I had to share it. I guess what, guys? I went to college. I also got my MBA. So I definitely believe in education. But at the same time, if you go in there with the false belief that by going to college, it automatically means you're going to be a 7-figure earner and an instant millionaire, that is not the case. Because as Mark laid out, if a college degree was the way to wealth, then 53.7% of Americans would be millionaires. We know that is, in fact, not the case. So just keep that in mind. College is still great. It may not be great for every single person. So just because somebody doesn't go to college doesn't mean they're inferior. They might just have a different approach on how they want to accumulate wealth and best serve themselves and their family and their community. Another one here, Ed Milet, love him. I know he's taken a little bit of a break from social media, but good for him. I'm happy for him to take a break. I know people can get burnt out. And what I love what Ed says, and it just kind of helps me reframe what I need to do personally as an individual, is you will never always be motivated. So you must learn to always be disciplined. That is so true. My wife gets pissed off at me, but I'm kind of, in a way, a robot. Maybe I'm talking like a damn robot right now. But I am very disciplined, and that is ultimately what does save me. Because I will tell you, I'm exhausted right now. I'm tired. My 18-month-old was having a rough night last night, so I don't have as much energy as I usually have. But it still doesn't mean I can just take the day off and do nothing. I still have to keep on, grinding, trying to deliver some results. Because ultimately, in the long run, so long as I am moving forward and I'm not stopping, that is progress. So just, again, if you're having a rough day yourself, stay disciplined, you'll be fine. And then this one I just thought is, an important thing to call out here. So Matt Cutchell, I love him. His comedy is hilarious to me. Maybe not for everyone, but his comedy cracks me up. And he had a really heartfelt post on Instagram, and I just wanted to share it with others because, all he's talking about is the fact that, you don't understand all the things that go on behind the scenes in individual people's lives. And he's extremely funny. He makes a ton of people laugh, but he's been experiencing a lot of depression recently. And he's been, more removed from his friends and his family and everything like that. So I just wanted to kind of call that out because, as many of you guys know, I am a mental health owner. I do believe in, trying to provide affordable access to mental health care for more Americans. Because there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of people that are out there just trying to find a sense of who they are. And so just because somebody is this, very popular person out there doesn't mean that they're going through their own shit. And so try to, give people the benefit of the doubt, recognize that every single person is a human after all. And that's what we should be focusing on, is how we can treat other people like humans, not to be the assholes behind the keyboards that are just going to rip on you because they don't agree with it. Those people, honestly, if you see them, don't waste your time on them. They're pointless. They've got absolutely nothing better to do with their lives than to try and shit on other people. So Matt Cutchell, thanks for being vulnerable. A lot of people are not willing to share that. Mental health is a real challenge for people, and so hopefully for Matt and his family, they can recover quickly. But for all those other millions of Americans out there, I think it's like 40% of people suffer from some form of anxiety or depression. No, you're not alone. If you need people to talk to, there's plenty of therapists out there that are ready and willing to help you. All right, so we're going to shift now into hopefully a lighter subject. Mean Girls, that's right. My wife has made me watch this so many damn times. So it's actually kind of funny. But last week I wrote about it in my weekly blog, talking about how Mean Girls turned 20. And yeah, so I'm hoping that a lot of you guys have seen this. I know it was a cult like classic in the early 2000s for people. Tina Fey is just a legend with how well she wrote that. And so, it's a really, for those that don't know it, it's got a lot of memorable quotes like "That's so fetch" and satirical portrayal of teenage cliques and social dynamics that all of us, guess what, have been through. And all those challenges of adolescence that we seem to think that we never had those challenges, which I know I was a dick. Thank God for my parents dealing with it. But there's challenges throughout that. And if you're really curious, I also had a link in the blog of all the people that were in that movie that have gone on to have amazing careers, like Tina Fey, Rachel McAdams. Lindsay Lohan had a good career. She had a rough time, and then has come back. Lacey Chabert, or whatever Shabert, whatever you want to call her. A good start there, and then she's just become like the Hallmark queen, which I love my Hallmark Christmas movie, so I will never complain about that. Amy Poehler, we know she crushed it with Parks and Rec and things that came on after that. So there's a lot of good stars there. But I'm not going to keep talking about how good the movie is and how much I laughed at it. Instead, I wanted to kind of shift the attention into the lessons that this movie can teach us. Because guess what? Even if it's a hilarious thing, there are some grains of salt that we can, or some wisdom bits, I guess, we can take from anything. So that's all how we kind of approach it from a mindset perspective. So lesson one that I had was you never know when you will strike gold. And that actually lines up really nicely with my Confucius quote that I have here today. Oh, wow, it's pink. It matches with the photo here. But it says, "It doesn't matter how slowly you go, so long as you do not stop." That's from Confucius, the philosopher. That lines up with this idea of you never know when you're going to strike gold. Because a lot of these people, they started off as maybe um, gosh, the backup or just the add-on to the set, and then they became like the supporting cast, and all of a sudden they get the chance of a starring role in a soap opera, and then they get traded up into a TV show, and then they get a chance on a movie. Like they are all taking their little steps. They're working their asses off. And there's that quote of you never know when luck is going to happen. It's when opportunity plus preparation creates luck. And so a lot of them, they work their asses off. Nobody was seeing it at that point in time. And then they strike gold and they're just like, well, how'd they do that? Well, my friends, it was probably 20 years of work. Rachel McAdams was 25 when she was in that movie, even though she was playing the role of an 18-year-old. So they all gave it their best shot. They also knew that they were taking a risk. If that movie flopped, their careers pretty much flop. So people are working their asses off. They're taking calculated risk. And for these people in this situation, they struck gold. But just know that it's kind of like the Titanic. You only see 10% of the iceberg. The 90% is below the water. That's what most of these people's careers are. That 90% that none of us even pay attention to until they've hit that top 10%. So keep on working, keep on grinding. Lesson two that I had was it's a great tale of not following the crowd. Um, like, guess what? I did a lot of stupid stuff as a kid. And my parents would always ask me, like, and I'm sure you guys heard the same one too. I haven't had to use it yet for my kid because he's not understanding anything that I'm saying. He just understands Toy Story and Bluey and Miss Rachel. But it was always like, if everyone else jumped off a bridge, would you? And, that idea is that it's not good to do something stupid, even if everyone else is doing it. And guess what? There's a lot of things that collectively as a society we've been taught that we should be doing it. And it's absolutely stupid once you understand why we're being taught to do it. And so it's really kind of learn to think for yourself, use logic instead of following the crowd. And Mean Girls is pushing several of these lessons, primarily focusing on the pitfalls of conformity, I would say, and the importance of kind of being true to oneself and the consequences of gossip and manipulation and all that stuff. So here's the key lessons I'll hit on from that don't follow the crowd is one, the dangers of conformity. If you conform to societal expectations, yeah, people aren't going to, call you out. You won't be polarizing. You're just going to be that person that follows the crowd, and that's fine. But ultimately, if you're trying to fit in, you're not going to be able to stand out. And you want to be uncommon amongst uncommon people if you really want to succeed in life. The second part is in the authenticity. Guess what? If you're not authentic, people are just going to call you out for BS. There's times in the past where I was definitely fearful of trying to be authentic and share what I have going on in my life and what I'm trying to do, etc. Now, I hope you can tell by the number of LinkedIn lives and YouTube lives and Facebook lives and all of that crap. I'm trying to give you as much information as I can. I'm trying to, be just an individual sharing my own experiences, and hopefully, if it can just save you 5 years of your life of the shit that I've gone through, then great. But a lot of people are too willing or too unwilling to actually share what's going on. They only want to share that, again, that top of the iceberg of like, this is why it's awesome. I hopefully can share with you when the times suck too. And guess what? There are certain times that absolutely suck, like kind of right now. The third thing that I thought from that lesson of following in the crowd is about gossip and rumors. It's endless. I know I've been guilty of gossip because it's kind of, in a weird way, it's fun. I know when I was out to dinner last night with a few of my friends, of course, my wife asked me when I got back, she's like, all right, well, what's going on? And luckily for guys like at our age now, there's no real gossip. Like it's just kind of, well, what's going on in each other's life. But it's definitely bigger when we're teenagers and adolescents, and we don't really understand the value of developing more meaningful relationships and friendships. And when you actually spread gossip and rumors, it can be very hurtful. And you never know, again, as I touched on with that Matt Kutchell posting, what people are going through in their own brain or in their own family. So there's no need to layer on. There's no need to be a dick. Value of friendship is another lesson that I thought was kind of important. And despite all those conflicts and betrayals that occur among the characters in the movie ultimately underscores the importance of the genuine friendships based on trust, respect, mutual support. Where do you think that relates? Our world right now, trust and respect. You may not agree with people, but so long as you view them as a human first and not some object in your way that's trying to purposely screw you over, my guess is you'll be able to get to a quicker resolution faster. And then the fifth and final element that I saw, like the not following the crowd piece, was manipulation. So Regina George was a character. She demonstrated the negative outcomes of manipulating others for personal gain. And the film illustrates how such behavior can lead to, distrust, isolation, and eventual downfall. So just remember, it might be cool for you in the moment or might be beneficial for you in the moment. In the long run, you're screwing yourself. So try to think a little bit further outside of just like the quick injection of excitement of thinking you're the cool person or you're going to be able to just outcompete every single person. It doesn't work that way. Take a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. Anyhow, that was kind of like my rundown of what I found interesting from Mean Girls. I know there was a more recent release this year. The latest rendition. No, I have not watched it. If my wife forces me to watch it, I'll watch it, but I'm not going to be sprinting anytime soon to go watch that movie or make it my most demanded thing. Instead, I'll probably watch the Tom Brady roast because that's pretty damn funny. So I want to know from you guys, did I miss anything? Or what kind of lessons stuck out to you? Or does Mean Girls just suck? Is it not a good movie? But yeah, definitely let me know in the comments section wherever you might be watching this. Now, finally, let's close this one out. We are going to give you our top 3 dad jokes for Mother's Day. Ooh, I hope you guys are ready for this. I got to make sure my little let's see if it's ready. Oh, this is nice. So, here's our first joke. What did the panda give his mommy? A bear hug. Guys, I have 2 more and then I'm done for the rest of the week. Knock, knock. Who's there? Justin. Justin who? Just in time to say, Happy Mother's Day. All right. Roses are red, violets are blue. My mom's jokes are funnier than you. That was too much fun. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us, and I will talk to you guys all next week. In the meantime, you know where to find me on across all the social platforms. You can check out our actual newsletter on Medium or by following us at Anthem Capital, and reach out to me if you ever need any help. Take care. Bye.